One. Welcome back to another episode of the See Life Different podcast. So today's special guest on the See Life Different podcast is Adedoyin of Creative Doyin. She had 10 plus years of marketing and design experience. And during the pandemic, she tapped into what I call her inner creativity and started picking up a camera. And so we actually met in 2016, and we've just been connected online for so long. And in 2017 to 18, she became my creative director for my creative marketing agency, Focus Media Group with a PH. So she is from Mississippi, resides in Dallas, Texas, and now we have been able to meet in person, and we live in the same city, and it's going to be so much fun to continue to learn more about her and also allow her 10 years of agency experience and her passion for digital marketing and to help other small businesses and solopreneurs to make their digital footprint. So she specializes in helping others to grow their brand, market themselves. And when she's not doing that, she loves crocheting and cuddling with her cat dog Roxy. So hi, Adi.
Hi.
How
Thank
are
you.
you? Thank you. Thank you for saying yes. It's like, wait a minute, it's a no-brainer. Like we're finally uh connected in person, right? But it just felt like, we just like old friends just picking up, from we left off. So thank you for being here.
Yes, totally, for sure. I was really excited when you were like, I'm thinking about coming to Dallas. And I'm like, yes, do
Please.
that.
Basically. And then you've been so amazing with helping me to basically settle in. I think it's funny because I mean, for those who are listening to the podcast, it's gonna come out. There's a whole detailed episode about it. But Dallas was actually right before we connected. It was like Dallas was like, you're going to go to Dallas soon. You're going to go to Dallas. And I saw the sign, but I was like, okay, whatever. And make this curves, and here we are, 2021, and it's happening. So yay. So
Funniest
what do you?
story about
Yeah.
Dallas. When I was a kid, I used to go to Houston all the time. And so one time my dad said we were going to Dallas. I say Dallas with air quotes because we were really in Hearst, which was a suburb of Fort Worth. And I was like, Dallas is super boring. I would never want to live there. And then again, I was in Mississippi and my sister had moved to Dallas. So I was like, let me just apply to Southern Methodist University for grad school and see how things go. And so I did. I came out here and I've been here ever since.
For school, for your master's program, right?
Yes, my master's in advertising.
So how have you been able to use it since then? Because now, I mean, you do all things creative now. So how have you been able to use? Because most people don't get to do that. They get a degree, and they're just still hunting for jobs. But how have you been able to utilize it since then?
So my advertising program was actually split into two factions. So there was a brand management side. Typically, people who do that end up being like account executives and things like that. And then there was a creative side. And funny enough, my grad professor was like, "Why aren't you in the creative side?" And I was like, "Well, I just didn't." And I didn't have an answer, but I just did it. But I somehow got into the middle of that. So my first job out of advertising was digital marketing. So I used a lot of like my brand management and brand strategy on one side, and then a little bit of my creative. And as soon more and more in my career, it keeps going both up. Like I still think in a very strategic way, but I'm also very creative and I'm getting to do more creative things. So
I love that. I love that. That you're tapping into your creativity. It's been fun. Just our time of working on, the startup of Focus Media Group. It's been fun to kind of bouncing off creative ideas. And I think most of the clients that come to us, they love that about it. They haven't been able to tap into their creativity, and so we're able to just kind of bring out their vision together. Obviously, with me and my original photography background and your creative background, and now photography is able to kind of add a different perspective when it comes to helping other small businesses.
yes, so I recently just rebranded from Digital Doyen, which I was really into helping people have their best digital life, and I still do, but I brought it out to Adedoyin to include the photography that I do. So really my goal is to help creatives to have their best foot forward. So everything from needing a photo shoot, much like what you do, to standing out for the pack, and not, so many businesses nowadays are being replicated, same business ideas. So it helps to, be able to stand out for the pack and be like, I'm different in this very specific way.
And I think that's what makes I feel like that's what makes like Focus Media Group kind of different, because I guess with the photography side of things, there are a lot of people now, especially as I've observed in Dallas, they know how to use their camera. They are fashion influencers. So the photography aspect is down, but then some of them either photo dump all the photos that, are taken, or don't know, where to put them other than like headshots. And so how do you feel that most people kind of, or what have you observed actually, that most people kind of lack between that gap of good photos and good content and actually, utilizing that for return on investment?
So we both have been bloggers at some point in life. And I know I was telling you the other day that like the difference between the bloggers that have like the brand partnerships and the greater just greater reach are ones that have professional pictures that they didn't just take like one photo shoot and they're just spreading it all out through the year, but like they're constantly giving it's a higher quality photo that most bloggers starting out cannot afford. And so that was kind of why I wanted to get into that kind of photo space, was to help people like that, where you can still be strategic about it. You can book a photographer for an hour. You got to work really fast, but take 3 outfits worth of stuff and, have that recurring like creative content.
Yeah, content is super important, especially now, because I think, I don't remember who said it first, but someone said that social media is where people can window shop for your services. You agree with that?
Yeah. And actually shop, because this blogger, I follow her because I liked her makeup, and she wore a dress one day, and that's my first like to know it purchase in like forever. Like this is within the last week I bought this. So a lot of times, sometimes people say, but sometimes people are also buying, and people are always hearing what you talk about. A lot of people get discouraged because they don't feel like they're getting all of the likes and shares and all of that, but people are still seeing you and they're still thinking about what you said, even if you didn't get that. So that's my encouragement for the day.
Yeah, I love that, and I'm glad you shared that, because there's so many people who have amazing stories and journeys to get to where they are, but we don't know that because they didn't share it. They didn't talk about it, so that's super important. Now, speaking of stories, I feel like we just passed it over, but what is your side of the story of how we met?
So I'm pretty sure we're in this blogger group, and you were like, hey, I'm looking for digital marketers or something like that. And so we connected through, you were supporting an artist, or not an artist, but a company that worked with artists. And so you needed my help. And so that's how we kind of got together. After some time, you're like, hey, I have an idea for an agency. And I was like, yeah, cool, let's do it. And so, like she said, I am the creative director. Half of the time it's me just being like, okay, we need to do it just like this. And then Zaakirah goes and does it how she likes. But, I think that's how we work. We're just both very creative people, and we kind of flow together really easily. So
I think that was so amazing. Just the fact that we just flew together so well, so creatively, and I think that's what also allowed us to stay connected through all this time. I believe actually we've been in support of each other's blog in that blog group, and so I don't think we probably like added each other on social media until after, like way after, like after I was like, hey, I think you will be working with the music startup agency. And then Facebook Messenger was my communication method. It's always been my communication method until we moved over to WhatsApp for the agency. But yeah, I love that. I love that. And so what is let's have a little fun segment. I haven't done this, so I feel like I do it just for us. But what is your favorite thing about me? And I'll tell you my favorite thing about you.
I like that you're willing to try things and you're willing to go places. Like I said, I lived in Mississippi for like 22 years of my life, and I moved here, and I'm not moving. But you actually are willing to try more things, and you are more fluid in just life and trying things out as a business owner, as a podcaster, as a photographer. You're really cool in that way.
Thank you. And I feel like I'm going to say a similar thing. Like, I like the fact that you have a very youthful spirit about you, and it's not, but you don't have an overbearing energy about you either, right? Like you're like a big sister to me, but you're not like this. But it doesn't feel like a whole like scorning, because we have our moments, right? When we have our moments, I think to put out the bit, when we do have our moments, I feel like we're able to maturely handle it, kind of like sisters do. But I think it's also because you do have a ton of sisters. So.
I do. I have 4 sisters and 2 brothers.
So where were you again in the spectrum?
I'm 6 out of 7, so I'm the knee baby, as they would say.
I love that. I love that. Now, if things open up a little bit more, where do you really see Creative Doyin going? Obviously, Dallas is pretty open, but like when things open up a little bit more, where do you really see Creative Doyin going in the next year?
There are a few things I want to play with. So, of course, like I said, I do want to do photography. I'm interested in kind of curating events. I haven't gone too far in my head on that, but I love all the businesses that have opened up to set up picnics and charcuterie boards, and I think that'd be super fun. I also have bought a slew of Cricut items, so I need to like justify these costs and start making like custom mugs and stickers and all kinds of things just to justify that why I bought it. So
So Creative Doyin is definitely a perfect name that you kind of pivoted to, basically.
Yeah, and the fun thing about, I guess, how I was raised, my mom, the like home ec classes in Nigeria were just next level. So she knew how to sew, she knew how to crochet, embroider, bake cakes. And so as her children, we're kind of Renaissance creatives as well. So I do love to crochet. I do know how to like cross stitch and embroider. I actually know how to bake cakes, but that's because I took a class. And so like it's all about like just branching out and learning different things and like trying to master it. I think we both will say, I think you call yourself a Jade of all trades, and I call myself a Jillian of all trades. And I think it's a-okay not to master. I'd rather be good at 10 things than master one. I feel like that's how you pigeonhole yourself. And so I like, having a wide variety of capabilities.
Now that's actually super important for those who are listening who are multi-passionate. Like say maybe they have been with people who have told them that they should focus on one thing, but then they're like, but how? And I feel like I'm glad you said that, because I feel the same way. I mean, most people, thankfully, know me first as a photographer, but then even as I talk more about social media and the do's and don'ts of social media, and when I go live, and even with my book, my podcast, I think they get it that it's all creative. Like I feel like I started adding the word Jade of creative traits. So I mean, sure, like I can write, I can speak, I can do this, but everything really that has to do with storytelling. And so I think all of those who are multi-passionate like us can really understand that you can still monetize and still enjoy what you do. And you don't have to be locked into one thing. Of course, it's good to kind of focus on one thing, master that, and then not neglect everything else. But I think that's super important that you mentioned that. Now, I want to say, let's say someone wants to come to you for branding. Where can they find you, and what do you offer to them?
Okay, so right now my website is still digital-doyen.com. I have reworking on the website, and most creatives will know I am my worst client, so constantly wanting to change things and thinking in circles. But that is the best place to start off having a conversation with me. So so I work with a lot of companies that are just starting out. So if you do have a pandemic company that you started and you want to start with having a branded look, not only a logo, but also, social media templates just to have the same look and feel all through your brand, I'm a great person to work with. If you started your logo already and you're like, well, I did this myself and I'm not a creative and I need somebody else to do this, again, I am really good with that. I'm really good with helping with rebrands as well. And like I said, it's kind of like a full suite of creative services. So not only can I help you with your logo and your social media, I can help you offline with business cards. I can help you online with websites. It's just kind of figuring out where you need to be for your business and then executing against that.
And I will second that. Yes, she's great at all things design, because if you look at any of my logos or even any of my recent flyer design, that was her. You want to know why my stuff looks so good? It's her. You want to know why things look so good through PMG clients? It's her. So yes, definitely book her directly if you want to. But of course, the PMG side of things is those who come to me for that consulting side of things and the social media marketing. Then that's when we also discover if you need design. It's like, okay, hand it over to her. So that's where we kind of pass the baton over in a way. And so I love that. And yeah, definitely be sure to check her out. Now, I think the fun question is, this is a question I asked everyone that's a guest. So it's kind of a deep question. So let me know if you need to think about it. But what would you want your legacy to be?
I am largely about people and helping people. And so I want my legacy as somebody who left people better than I met them.
You do that. Yes. Well, if no one took anything away, if there are any creatives, any mompreneurs, anybody who's listening, and they took nothing away from this episode, what is the one thing you want them to remember?
That again, I love to help, so I'm so here to help. Just reach out to me and let's have a conversation. And I'm happy to. I come from a place where I have the strategy of being like a strategic brand brain, but also I'm creative, and I put that together, and that's actually fairly rare. And yeah, so
I love that. Well, actually, one last question. I'm just me, my creative brain is just flowing. So, where did your business name come from?
Oh yeah. So a doyen is a woman who's like a respected figure on a certain topic. Also, my name I go by Doyen for short. So Doyen is a play on Doyen. It's a lot better than my previous brand name, which was a New Dimension, but it was 2 eyes, and then Google would keep trying to auto correct it. And yeah. So it was something I came up with in my first job, and I love it, and I'm sticking to it forever.
Mm-hmm. And it works. It's, yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Adi, for being a guest on the See Life Different podcast. This has been so much
Thank you. And if you do happen, can I promo my podcast as well?
fun. Of course.
If you do happen to, particularly if you are a Black woman or just a woman of a certain age, I have a podcast called Poor Life Decision. It's like Pour Like the Drink. And every week we talk about different life topics and how we can improve it. So some of our favorite topics have been sleep, because we don't, imposter syndrome, mental health topics, and stuff like that. So if you are already a podcast listener, just tune in to us on, iTunes and Spotify and anywhere else you have.
Yes, support Black women podcasters because we have stuff to say.
Yes. And it's good stuff.
yes. And fun girl talk. I think that's what makes podcasts so fun, that they can hear the good talk. Because actually your co-host is a good friend, an actual friend of yours, right?
Yes.
Wait, tell me more about that. You just kind of like you're just throwing in the podcast and we're like, well, wait.
Like while I'm here. So my co-host is one of my sorority sisters from Mississippi. And so we had, a few years ago, we're like, we should do a podcast. And then we kind of didn't think about it. And then one day I was like, hey, we should name the podcast Poor Life Decisions. And then a year later comes, and then we finally have a plan and we do a podcast. So we're actually going to be, it'll be going on year 3 this year. So we've been podcasting for a while, and we've learned, we've grown and learned from that. And even in that, I do the marketing, I do the social media and the design, and she does the audio. Praise God, because I don't know how. And so, it is a lot of giggling and, some drinking and just talking about life. But it is really, really good resource to work through the key issues you have in life.
Yeah. And actually, congrats on 3 years. Really, I just remember that you did start it right before me. Of course, I didn't know about it because you weren't marketing it like that. But you did start your podcast right before me. So it's definitely been a learning curve, a learning journey along the way. So here's to year 5.
I'm excited.
Yay! Well, thank you
so
again
much for having me, by the way.
Yes, no problem. I'm so glad we had this conversation recorded live, because we have so many conversations behind the scenes. So I'm so glad that they got to see, the other side of Focus Media Group and the one that really keeps me sane.
I try.